to the NIL situation.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Little.
We had a little bit of a dust up verbally. And I guess it's not a dust up because it was one-sided, but Nick Saban's got a lot to say. One about Deion Sanders and the whole
First of all,
is it Justin Houston or is
don't talk about my boy Prime. Okay.
Whoever the number one recruit is.
It's the cornerback.
The number one recruit in the country that signed with Jackson State. Nick Saban is saying that Deion Sanders paid him and that he's saying Texas A&M has the number one recruiting class in the country. Alabama has number 2, but Texas A&M bought their entire recruiting class through the NIL. So,
I mean,
could we all
talk about kettle?
Could we all agree here that Nick Saban is the big one of look, Nick Saban is the greatest coach in college sports, right? But he's a big scumbag.
But why?
He's a scumbag.
But why? Because he probably paid his players before this shit. So don't get me started.
Rob,
you are the kettle here.
Video? Did you find the video that we of Saban? I know we had talked about Saban, who had said something prior to the season, how there's quarterbacks out there. Who was the quarterback that they signed? Bryce
Young. It was last year. He was at a Texas coaches convention and was like, I guess just telling the coaches how great the NIL deal was. And he's saying that how Bryce Young signed a $1 million NIL deal before even taking a snap. So how can you?
So is Bryce Young the guy that transferred all over?
No, he's a recruit that they just got out of high school. Bryce Young,
bro. First of all, like that is why this thing is in place for these kids to make money. You know, like for Saban to come out there and say it's bullshit and said like nobody did anything about it. What do you want them to do? It's in the rules now. The Supreme Court
they did something about it. This is what they did.
Correct.
And now Texas A&M is just they pretty much. I guess maybe Alabama didn't want to comply, or they were worried too much about compliance, and Texas A&M threw caution to the wind and said F it. But what we're realizing now is you're starting to see. I saw a thing about Rutgers where there's like businesses that are coming together, nonprofits. That are essentially asking fans of a specific sport. So you could go onto Rutgers' website now. You could pick out a team that plays for like a Rutgers team. It could be girls basketball or women's basketball. It could be women's soccer. It could be any of these things. And you donate money and you get to pick where your money goes to, and it gets split up amongst the entire roster.
Or they could just buy T-shirts.
So if that's happening at Rutgers and that's just a nonprofit.
Is that really happening?
Yeah, 100%. I got an invite to a Facebook group the other day through the Rutgers wrestling group. And it was essentially saying, look, we're starting up a nonprofit. All the proceeds minus whatever it costs for overhead and marketing and things like that, you know?
Yeah.
And all the money is going to go to the team, the athletes on a specific team of your choice. Now, for a team like Rutgers,
so everybody's getting like
everybody could get
sponsors,
really? Everybody could get a little bit of money no matter what sport you're playing. But could you imagine a team like Alabama opening that up for their fans? And it just being like you could just donate money.
There'd be people like Sandra Bullock going nuts, just like dropping coin.
You're gonna
to get the blindside guy.
But here's where that comes to be very bad, because you have a quarterback of the team who plays better than everybody else, or the tight end, or the linebacker who was highly recruited. How do you say I'm going to give $1,000 to the linebacker and $5 to the punter?
In this case, it's part of just that's what they're doing. It's saying it's going to make it a level playing field. So even the person that's going and putting in the work and practicing that doesn't even play is entitled to the same money. I don't know if it's scholarship athletes or just if you're on the team. But then those star athletes then have the opportunity to go take their own name, image, and likeness and create something better for themselves that the guy that's not playing or the backup right tackle would be able to get.
We did that.
It opens it up for everybody, but the quarterback of Alabama could still go to the car dealership and be like, yo, let me get that Range Rover. And I bring that up because Kyle's comment, Travis Hunter clearly did get paid. And I think we could all agree on that one. I don't know that it was Deion that paid him, but Deion might have introduced him to somebody that paid him.
Of course.
Which is college football. And Nick Saban is just a sore loser. Derrick Henry was driving a $150,000 Range Rover on Alabama campus. And I know that Derrick Henry might look like a Range Rover, but in this case, he was actually driving one. It wasn't just him.
So what if so we know how Oregon, the guy from Nike, is all around there, right? What if he was just like, oh, well, I'm going to design a sneaker for everybody in Oregon? Wouldn't you think every kid that likes Jordan would just go to Oregon from now on?
100%.
This is what do they expect is going to happen?
This made every single major college, relevant.
What do you think? What do you think is happening with the AEW guy, Dan Lambert? He's a part owner of AEW. He's the guy that owns American Top Team in Florida, the MMA school. Famous, rich, has a lot of money, chose to do the MMA route with his money. So he's like a rich guy, had a hobby, and just built the best school in the country, I think. It's the most
recognizable.
Legit. Well, right now,
I mean,
it's hard to stick in that camp because there's so many guys and you
Yeah.
end up fighting them. But it's clearly upper echelon in terms of MMA in the world. And he pays $500K a year to be dispersed amongst the Miami football players, all scholarship athletes. So right there is a bonus for Miami. You don't see Miami as a number one recruiting class because there's Texas A&M also. They have a good.
Didn't Miami have their players on like salaries at one point?
This year, what I'm
$500 a week just to go play football.
There's always been dirty shit
of course
going on.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: I don't think it's ever been dirty. I think the dirty shit was the restrictions and not letting them do it because how much money was made by Miami off of those teams? A lot.
Chris Payne bringing up a great movie, Blue Chips. That is like the tall tale sign of what is going on in college sports before it was legal. You know what I mean? And then Neon Bedeau, Shaquille O'Neal, he was getting everything.
Yeah.
He was getting cars, right?
Listen,
Penny Hardaway's mom got a lawn.
Yeah,
house with a lawn.
We talk about this all the time. Money changes people. I don't care what anybody says. You take a broke kid from New Jersey, Florida, Miami.
Look at Conor McGregor. I know. If you need one example for everyone to be able to see, through a lens.
But here's why that's different, though, because MMA is you're in a solo thing by yourself, so you're creating your own brand by yourself.
Agreed.
But when you're a team and you see that your quarterback is getting $1 million from a car dealership, and you're the best wide receiver on the team, and you're sitting here getting $500 a week to play at Miami, and that's the money you have to eat. That's your rent. That's your gas. That's your going out money.
Yeah, to me, I think that in that situation, it's all about selling yourself. So you can't look at it like, well, the quarterback got $1 million. Well, the quarterback got his $1 million with how he negotiated to get his $1 million. Put yourself in these positions. The receiver has the same opportunity to go do that. So that's what the law is pretty much stating. In this case, the receiver wasn't going to get paid, and the quarterback weren't going to get. The quarterback was anyway. You understand what I'm saying? So if the quarterback went out and seeked that $1 million deal, got it. The receiver didn't. He's not getting anything. In this case, he's at least getting something.
Yeah, but the quarterback didn't go out and seek that deal. Alabama went out and seek that deal.
The quarterback's skill set did seek the deal. In other words, where he's saying, okay, what do you got for me? Now the Alabama receiver could have said the same thing. He could have been like, well, Florida is going to give me, $180K a semester. What are you going to give me?
It's gonna be that's a bad thing for college athletes, dude.
You know what? It's the Wild West now, boy, and people are gonna make money, and justifiably so. All these college athletes, all the money that these head coaches are making, forget it. These kids deserve some money.
I think,
but you're gonna see
the
a lot
millions.
of schools being investigated by the FBI in like 5 to 10 years.
Less schools now will be investigated because they don't actually have a governing body. Like the NCAA is on its way out, so the FBI is basically stepping in and saying, like, what's been going on is highly illegal and unconstitutional, and it's been like that for a long time. So the system that we're used to growing up watching college football and like, oh, the kids are playing for pride. Like that was a broken system. Guys' lives were getting ruined playing college sports. And some of them, if you look at the amount of people that made it big in the NFL, it's not that high. And I'm not saying that a free education isn't something to be scoffed at because a lot of these athletes get that. But the schools are making a fortune off of the Michigan football team and the this and the that.
Right.
And the likelihood that you're going to go pro, even if you're on Michigan, is very low.
Correct.
Correct.
So